Oh, wait, here we go. We're coming back.
Oh,
Okay,
are we
right.
coming back?
We're coming back. Got kilobytes a second.
Woo! Down to
Right,
3 people.
I do apologise. Oh, God. I don't know what happened there. My internet just decided to have a bit of a fit. But we're back.
Woo!
Apologies, guys. Sorry about that. Internet had a bit of a tantrum and didn't want us carrying on the stream. So, anyway, where did we get to? Rick Nash. So, let me just double check people are still here. Yep, people are still here, so that's good.
Okay, not according to me they're not, but okay.
Well, let's just double check. Yeah, we've got some people watching. They'll be back soon.
Oh, that's
hopefully.
alright. According to mine, the stream's not even back.
Oh, well, it should be.
Let me try refreshing it.
Yeah, it's back. It's back.
Okay, that's fine then.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, it looks like it's back. We're back.
I've
Hello.
got an advert, so okay.
Hi, guys.
Hi,
Yeah,
guys.
adverts. Yeah, give me some ad revenue. Come on.
Apparently chat's disabled.
Oh, okay. So, anyway, let's just wrap this up before it gets any worse. Rick
Oh,
Nash.
no, I know what. Right, okay, yeah, no, it's fine.
Rick Nash announced his retirement from the National Hockey League. I was going to be all heartfelt with that, but my internet had other plans. So, the 34-year-old Rick Nash, who was the first overall draft pick in the 2002 NHL entry draft and played many seasons with the Columbus Blue Jackets and about half a decade with the New York Rangers, and finished his career with the Boston Bruins at the end of last year. He finished his career with 437 goals and 368 assists in 1,060 NHL games. Until his retirement, he was third among active NHL players in goals scored, behind Alex Ovechkin and Patrick Marleau. And he led the NHL with 41 goals in the 03-04 season, which helped him win the joint Rocket Richard Trophy, and was a 6-time All-Star. And the main reason he has announced his retirement is due to continued issues with a concussion that he suffered as a member of the Bruins in March. He missed 6 weeks with the concussion symptoms in 2013 as well, while being a member of the New York Rangers. So, yeah, I really do wish Rick Nash the best. They did a really nice ceremonial puck drop last night in the game between Columbus and the Rangers, which was really nice. The fans were really good to Rick Nash. It really is a shame that his career has ended this way, but I'm really happy that he's decided to take this seriously and not try to extend his career, because he was getting offers he was getting multi-year, multi-million-dollar a season offers from NHL teams at free agency, and he decided to turn them all down in favour of making sure he was, or getting as much help as he could with his concussions, which I've got to respect that. Like, you've got to put your health and your family first, and he's done that. He's got 2 young kids that he's got to look after. It's not as if he hasn't been paid his career. Like, he's got money, so it wouldn't have been a case of money that he'd continue to play. And yeah, I do wish Rick Nash the best. I would love him to get some sort of front office job with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's a fan favourite down there. The fans love him there. I'm a big Rick Nash fan, especially when he scored 41 goals a couple of years ago, which completely was unexpected as well. But yeah, I think that's really awesome. What do you think, Chris, about Rick Nash announcing his retirement?
Yeah, a great player. Again, probably the right decision. Hockey finishes, hockey stops, but life kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
There is more to life than hockey, despite what, particularly you, because you sit there talking hockey all the time.
I get paid for it, so I won't complain.
Well, exactly. But there is a life outside hockey. There is more to life than hockey, and very many more important things.
Absolutely.
Than hockey, particularly in the grand scheme of things. And what he doesn't want to do is keep on playing, take another puck to the head, and end up, not being able to have the quality of life and with his kids and everything that he wants. So yeah, good decision. And as you said, wish him all the best. He had a great career.
Absolutely. One of my favourite, like I said in my post on my community chat, when I started following the NHL in like 2010, 2011, his trade was the first like blockbuster trade that I remember taking place in order to acquire him and bring him to the Rangers, because he'd made it very clear that he wanted to be with the Rangers. He'd kind of wanted to move away from the Blue Jackets and their continued mediocrity at the point. So that was a big trade that I remember happening. I remember like booting up NHL 12 or something and seeing him on the roster. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, start my GM mode and get that going, which is cool. and like a 6-time All-Star. A lot of fans saying that he helped bring Columbus to relevance in the National Hockey League. Like he helped lead them to their first playoff berth. They haven't, bar like this last season and the season before, hadn't been to the playoffs since. So yeah, Rick Nash, great player, and of course we saw all of the highlight. Like Sportsnet did like a top 10 career moments.
Top 10 Rick
highlights.
Nash, yeah.
Yeah, his number one where he just toe dragged like past those 2 defensemen was incredible. I'd recommend going to watch it.
That was just disgusting.
It's such a nice one. So anyway, we move on. Oh, I just got rid of the tab that I actually wanted to look at. My bad. It's to do with the Anaheim Ducks. So here we go. I got it. Don't we're fine. Yep, the Anaheim Ducks. Exactly. The Anaheim Ducks, like we mentioned earlier, on an 11-game losing streak. They've got 4 points in that span due to 4 overtime losses. But yeah, they're really not playing well at the moment. And they come up in the news slightly later due to some moves being made recently. So, interestingly, the Anaheim Ducks, there's been some questions as to whether head coach Randy Carlyle will be fired as a result of their 11-game losing streak and the team. They're currently sitting in a second wildcard spot, or they're even with the Wild and the Vancouver Canucks for the second wildcard spot. But the way they keep playing, like if they keep losing games in this streak, they're not going to be there for much longer, let's be honest. So there's been a lot of questions as to whether the Ducks are going to fire their head coach. The general manager, Bob Murray, has come out and said, nope, at the moment we're not firing Randy Carlyle. He's not considering a coaching change. This is a quote that he has. At this time, I'm not considering a coaching change. I'm more focused on our players, specifically with who is going to step up in this situation. The way we played tonight, which was their 10th straight loss, I believe. Was it their 11th? No, it was their 11th straight loss, I believe. The way we played tonight was a step in the right direction. I mean, you can't really get much worse. But we need much more.
Yeah, but it was an overtime loss. That's the difference.
So they get a point. Well, congrats, guys.
Yeah, but if you've lost a load in a row, it is still the right direction, isn't it, compared to...
Yeah, true. On Sunday, Anaheim never trailed in regulation. They led the game 2-0 and 3-2, but then lost in overtime. So that's good. Pulling a typical Nottingham Panthers there. So, yeah. Chris, what do you think about... Should the Ducks make a coaching change? Of course, they wouldn't be the first team this season to have swapped coaches. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to go, 0-7-4, 4 overtime losses for an 11-game losing streak.
Yeah.
If it was football, we'd be out the door after about 5 games because they chop and change managers so much. I think the saving grace is the fact that they are still in and around the wildcard spots.
Yeah, like their strong start to the season is kind of saving them at the moment.
Yeah, if they were down near the bottom now, around your Ottawa and your Philadelphia, he'd have gone. But
absolutely, yeah.
I think being in and around is saving him for the moment, and we'll have to see in the next few weeks if they recover or if they continue to trail off. Because if they continue to trail off, not convinced he'll be there come the postseason. Oh
no, definitely not. And I mean, this is also prefaced by Corey Perry having not been in the lineup that much or at all due to a really big injury he suffered that he's still recovering from. And I believe Ryan Getzlaf has missed a noticeable amount of time as well, although don't quote me on that, I can't quite remember. But yeah, so the Ducks are a little bit unsettled at the moment, which isn't good for Anaheim fans. They've made the playoffs the last few seasons, but they haven't really done much damage. So they haven't really been considered a cup favourite for quite a while. So yeah, it'll be very interesting, like you said, to see what happens moving forward. So Corey Perry's missed 46 games because of knee surgery. So, here we go.
So
injuries continue to affect the Ducks as well. They've lost 262 man games this season. So Corey Perry's missed 46 games. Patrick Eaves, who came and was a great player for them at the end of last season, missed 28 games due to a broken rib. Cam Fowler missed 23 games due to facial fractures. And goaltender Ryan Miller has missed 14 games due to a knee injury. So yeah, they're going through some real struggles at the moment. The injury bug has bit them hard, and it's showing. Now, one of the things they've tried to do in order to stop this slump is they've made a trade. The Anaheim Ducks have decided to... This was announced about 2-3 hours ago. So it turns out that the Anaheim Ducks have traded their Iron Man, Andrew Cogliano, to the Dallas Stars in exchange for Devon Shaw. So these are the two teams that I always used to play NHL 2004 with. Mighty Ducks at Anaheim against the Dallas Stars. Great memories. So it kind of seems like the majority are looking at social media and seeing fans' responses to this. Quite a lot of fans don't like either of like this trade either way. And the problem is Andrew Cogliano, he has the 4th longest consecutive game streak in NHL history. He played 830 straight NHL games, which is incredible, before he was given a 1-game suspension for something. Which is so it's the 3rd longest in NHL, NBA, and MLB history. From the start of his career, from October 4th, 2007 until January 13th, 2018, he did not miss a single game in a season between those dates. How incredible is that?
It's
To put it into perspective, he did not miss a single NHL game for over a decade. That's shocking. Like, that's actually fucking incredible. I mean, the current Iron Man in the league, I believe, is Keith Yandel, the defenseman of the Florida Panthers, who's played like 430 or 500 and something. To give you context, like, Cogliano played 300 more straight games, which is like almost, almost 5 seasons, almost half a decade more. Like, that's ridiculous. So he's been known as a veteran guy, a good locker room guy, a good specialty team guy. So he's gone to Dallas in order to try and help them push for the playoffs. Of course, Dallas have had a bit of drama over the last few weeks, as I've mentioned in previous videos. And Devon Shaw, who Stars fans are a little bit upset to see go away because they see him as a potential second or third line centre. He's a 24-year-old. He was a second-round pick, number 64 overall in the 2012 draft. He had 17 points in 42 games this season, but he started off the year quite well, but he very much fizzled out, had one goal in his last 13 games or something. So he kind of dropped off a little bit. But this is a sign of two teams wanting to shake things up a little bit. One team that's on a really long losing streak, wanting to inject a bit of youth and a bit of talent into the lineup just in case they either don't play well for the rest of the season and everything goes wrong, or because they want to try and push themselves over that mountain to get more points and get back into the playoffs. Whereas Shaw, well, yeah, that's with Shaw. Whereas Cogliano, he's come in to kind of stabilise the team essentially and help kind of change the culture there almost. So that's a very interesting trade. Anything you want to add on that, Chris? Because I know you're not too familiar with these players.
Yeah, I mean there isn't really much for me to add. I mean, both. It's difficult to see on the face of it in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
That they're going to make a huge impact.
Especially for Andrew Cogliano, he's a guy that the stat sheet doesn't truly reflect the impact that he has on a team.
He's very much he's one of the people who would set up the perfect kind of almost outlet pass, but it's the third pass that never gets on the score sheet.
Yeah, and he's really good on killing penalties.
Yeah.
Which the Dallas Stars have had trouble with so far this season, so I can definitely see why they went to pick up a guy like this. The age difference is quite interesting as well. Devon Shaw was 24, and I believe Cogliano's now in his early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. So his prime years, in theory, are behind him. But then again, the Dallas Stars are trying to get into win now mode. So
I find it interesting that neither set of fans are particularly happy. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, so the Dallas Stars fans are. There are more Dallas Stars fans happy with this trade than Anaheim Ducks fans. Anaheim Ducks fans are upset with this because he's a fan favourite. He's an Iron Man. He's always there doing stuff for his team. Whereas, and they're really sad to see him go because they loved him as a player. Whereas the Dallas Stars, there are more fans that can see the positives to Cogliano joining their lineup and a guy like Shaw going, who was very cold recently. Some of them might be thinking we're quite lucky we got a guy like Cogliano for just Devon Shaw, you know? So, an interesting trade. Now we move on to something. Actually, before we move on to the more light-hearted thing, there was something that was announced just before we went live, and that's that NHL defenseman Josh Georges has officially announced his retirement from the National Hockey League. He made an Instagram post, which was then also posted onto Twitter, where he says, "I would like to take the time to officially announce my retirement from the NHL and the game of hockey. Even though this is a sad day, I am extremely excited about the next chapter in ... because I'm reading it on Twitter. I can get the Instagram post up, but we've essentially know what happens. Was a Buffalo Sabres defenseman, also former Montreal Canadiens defenseman. So he's been a pretty decent player in his career. I don't have his stats up here, I've got to be honest, but
That's why I'm here.
Oh good, yeah. So get those stats up for us. But
so he's the guy who plays for Buffalo, doesn't he?
Well, he did, yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had the right guy. So his NHL stats, he has totaled, come on, elite prospects. So NHL games, 783 games, 124 points.
Very much a defensive defenseman, as you might imagine.
Yeah. Couple that with 99 games in the AHL and 245 games in the WHL.
Yep.
First played in the NHL in 2005 season for the San Jose Sharks.
Yep.
And then went on to the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres, as you said.
So yeah, Josh George has announced his retirement, which is sad, obviously. Now we move on to something funny. Well, I think we'll finish off with a light-hearted thing, which I have watched and I found it very interesting.
Not watched it yet.
Yeah, you should definitely give it a watch. It's quite funny. So, you know play-by-play commentators, Chris. You know them better than I do. Mm-hmm. You know, like, there's a formula to the way that you guys do it. You want to make sure you get all the information out there. You don't want to show your bias as much as possible, unless you're the Manchester Storm commentators. And you want to make sure that you keep it entertaining, but you don't try and take over the game and let the game do the talking as well, right?
Yeah, it's easier. Ice hockey commentary is, because I commentate on ice hockey and on football. Boom. Ice hockey commentary is easier on TV. Yeah. Football's easier on radio. The problem with ice hockey on radio is that which is what I do, is it's so fast, and because you haven't got the pictures to help you, you've got to describe so much.
Yep.
That it's really quite difficult to do, and you really do need two people, which is where I sometimes struggle. But
of course, yeah. So, interestingly, the LA Kings, during their game against the Pittsburgh Penguins last night, they had a guest up in the booth, which I thought was quite good. Some of you may know him as a very famous rapper that was especially prominent during the 2000s. He's shown himself as a hockey fan years before. He, of course, did the music for the All-Star game, I think, last year, and didn't use his censored track, and the commentators had to apologise for the language, which I thought was fucking hilarious. Snoop Dogg, yes, Snoop Dogg made his way. He dropped the puck in the game, and he also went up to the announcer's box, and he did some play-by-play commentary, which was hilarious. I've never really been a Snoop Dogg music fan. It's never really been somebody I've listened to, not because I don't want to, but just never really came up in my circle. And I don't really know a huge amount about him. I've seen some funny videos. Like, he's become a bit of a meme over the last few years. And yeah, it was really funny. Like, just such a completely different, more fan-inspired take on an NHL game, which you don't really see much nowadays, unless you watch my channel, because I'm awful. So yeah, definitely go and watch it. There's several articles about it. CBS Sports have done an article on it with some videos attached. You'll probably find a video of it on YouTube or the NHL website. So go and have a look at that. It's so funny. It's so funny. Now, we move away from the NHL. If you guys have any questions or any topics that you want us to discuss at the end of the podcast regarding the NHL, as we're now moving on, we'll have the last call, which will be after the last few segments of the podcast. And then you guys can ask us some questions about anything we've covered, anything you want us to cover or talk about briefly. But let's move on to
probably about 10 minutes away, because the last few bits are quite quick.
Pretty much. So, the Champions Hockey League, the second legs of the semi-finals. So, for those of you who don't know, the final four teams in the Champions Hockey League, the inter-European tournament. Some of you North Americans might not know about it that much. The semi-finals, they have two legs, so you play two games, and the team that has the most goals at the end of those two games goes through. The second leg of each of those games, I believe, is taking place tomorrow on the 15th of January. We've got Frölunda against Pilsen and Red Bull Munich against Red Bull Salzburg. So currently, Frölunda and Pilsen are it's 6-3 in favour of Frölunda after the first leg, and the Red Bull game, no score after the first game. So it really is going to be, in theory, the first goal wins that series, which would be pretty crazy. So for those of you in the UK, you can watch Frölunda against Pilsen at 4:30 p.m. tomorrow on Free Sports. Aaron Murphy will be doing the call for that most likely, so I might drop in and have a listen to that. I think that'll be pretty good. The second legs will be soon. I believe the final's in February. I think it's early February.
Yeah, it usually is.
So I might actually do a watch party for that. I wonder if anybody would be interested in that, in like a live chat for that. That would be a cool idea, actually, because I'm thinking about doing one for the All-Star Skills competition, staying up till like 3:30 in the morning, just like dosing myself up on coffee and drugs. And but yeah, I think it'd be really good to, if people are interested in that, I might do a poll on my community tab for that. That would be cool. It'd be a good way to raise the profile of the game as well, you know. So yeah, Champions Hockey League. Check it out on Free Sports. We haven't really gone over the games taking place in the Elite League this week. We'll talk about them next week. We always do.
Yeah.
The only one I think I should mention, Wednesday, Manchester Storm, Guildford Flames on Free Sports. So if you want to watch that, do.
And the best of the weekend games is that double header Cardiff Belfast.
Exactly. So we've mentioned some of them already. Now we move on to Kirk's Corner. Brits abroad, Kirk's Corner.
Yep. So Liam Kirk hasn't played for Peterborough since we did last week. Since we did last week's podcast, that's because because he's gone to the GB Under-20s Championship.
Oh, that's all right then. That's fine.
Yeah, where he's currently 1+5 for 6 points, tied first, in the tournament with 6 points.
6 points.
5 of those he picked up today. Yeah.
That's our Kirky. He got his first goal as well of the tournament today, didn't he?
He did. The 13th against Korea.
Yep, the 13th. God, fuck. I feel sorry for Korea. Like, that's bad. Like you said, that's Nottingham Lions bad. So, Kirky's doing really well for himself. But Chris, what about Tomo?
Tomo Schweiniger, no longer bottom of the league.
Hey!
So they had.
Sorry, carry on.
So they had a game on Friday which they won 5-1, but then they were shut out last night 3-0. But they are no longer bottom of. Well, I mean the team below them has a game in hand, but we'll gloss over that. They're no longer bottom of the league.
Hey, so I think Tomo's season's a success so far.
Yeah, so he's now, 11-11-0.
500 record. Taking over a bench and having a 500 record, that's an alright thing to do. Especially when your team's at the bottom of the league and the expectations for your team are literally 0.
Yeah.
You know, so fair play to him, fair play. So yeah, that's everything to do with the Brits Abroad. For those who don't know, that's a segment where we look at Brits Abroad and see how they do. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's hard to speak for yourself.
Because some of you guys might not know the British hockey scene as much as we do, and we like to highlight guys, for example, Liam Kirk, who's playing with the Peterborough Petes of the Ontario Hockey League after being drafted into the NHL, and Tomo, he's gone to a pretty decent league in Europe, so why not highlight that? So I guess that means we move on to fantasy. Let's move on to fantasy.
We haven't got a fantasy jingle.
Okay, I'll come up with one now. Fantasy sports. Chris wins every game because he cheats.
It's very similar to the Brits Abroad jingle. I'm not cheating. I'm just the Tampa Bay of our fantasy league.
Yeah. Well, yes, because half your fucking players are from Tampa Bay, probably.
No, they're not. They are not. They're all from Boston.
How does that make any sense? You have Braden Point, though. Like, come on. And you have Johnny Gaudreau that's been tearing up the league this year as well. Yeah. Don't give me that excuse, Gadsby.
No,
right?
you just said that they're all from Tampa Bay. They are not all from Tampa Bay at all. I have Braden Point from Tampa Bay. He's the only player from Tampa Bay.
Look,
I have players from Ottawa, so you know.
Next time we meet in fantasy, which is probably going to be the playoffs, you're going down, bud. I'm taking you down.
Yeah.
All of your players are going to get injured the week before, and that may or may not have something to do with me.
The way it's going at the moment, we're going to meet in the final.
I will fight you. I will fight you for that trophy. I'm not letting you beat me in my own fucking fantasy league. No way. Anybody else, fine, but you, no. Not at all. I'm not having it. The guy that's like, oh, I don't know who I'm picking. I'll just choose the best person on the board.
That is basically what I did, I'm not going to lie.
There you go, and he's leading the fucking league. Anyway,
Yep.
So I played Max and I destroyed him. Well, I didn't destroy him. 87-62. It was a good fight, but I was winning
Max,
pretty
what
much
you
the whole
doing,
week.
Max?
Max, you've got to step up, bud. You're under 500, dude.
You're not even in the playoffs.
You're not even in the play. Come on, man. You're 5th in the West Division. God, you can see that the East Division's really taken over in this league. Denver sports team beat Trump's fake wife by tripling their score. The Portsmouth Pirates beat a very close game against the Nottingham Redhawks. The Lions, yeah, they won, same old. The Croatian Jets...
just the 125 points.
Shut up. The Croatian Jets beat the Toronto Thunderbirds 104-90. The Nottingham Ute beat Clarkie's Infants 77-62. The Duncan PlayStations and the Pyongyang Sucklaws, still love that name, with the closest matchup this week, 80-78. And then Stanley Owlets beat the Beanheads 91-69. So let's go to the week now. I was going to say the coming week, but I mean, we're in it now. So I need to sort out my matchups before tonight. I think I've got Monday sorted. I need to do the rest of the week. So I'm up against the Croatian Jets. You are up against the Duncan PlayStations, who are a 500 team. Clarkie's Infants against Denver Sports Team. The Pyongyang Sucklords against the Portsmouth Pirates. Stanley Owlets against Habs Suck. Trump's fake wife against Max. Well, they've got a better record than you, Max, so step on it, bud. The Redhawks against the Ute. And finally, the Shore Billionaires against the Beanheads. So that is your standings for, well, your standings and the scores for the Fantasy League. We're well aware that most of the people in the Fantasy League probably aren't a part of it anymore or don't really bother. We do, because it's fun. And Chris likes to remind me how well he's doing. I've never seen somebody get so invested in fantasy sports so quickly than Chris's players all scoring 1 billion points a week.
Considering, literally, when we did the draft, I was like, I'll take part, I don't really care. And then once I got to about 3-0-0, I was like, right, I'm in this now.
And didn't you leave, like, halfway through because you had to go to sleep or something for work?
Oh, yeah.
I only drafted the rest of your fucking roster.
I only drafted the top 6 players because then, I had to get up for work at 6 o'clock the next morning and then it auto-drafted the rest.
You went to sleep halfway through and you're still winning. Like, it's like doing the draft blindfolded. So anyway, that's the end of everything that we've written down to talk about on this week's episode of the Icing on the Skate podcast. We have about 5-10 minutes now if you want to give us any questions or debate topics you want us to talk about for to do some sort of quick-fire debates or quick-fire chats about stuff. In terms of the channel, we're still doing incredibly well, guys. Thank you for the support that you guys are giving the channel. 6,000 subs, which is mental. We've gained like 100,000 views since I hit 1 million, which is crazy considering I hit 1 million like a week ago. So I thank you guys. It's really awesome. I do appreciate the support, the subs, the views, everything like that. I've got a video, another alternate hockey history, going out on Wednesday. I've just edited the audio for it. I've got to do all the visuals for that. It's quite a good one. I think it's quite a good episode. I've got a new idea for a series, which I've written the first episode for, based on some audience responses and audience suggestions. So that might go out next week, or it might go out on Friday. Excuse me. It depends on...
Exciting.
It depends on... Because I really want to make sure the script for this video is, like, watertight. And it depends if there's any, like, crazy news that takes place in the rest of the hockey week. So, the channel's still going really well. We're now getting to the point where some of the other sort of better-known hockey channels on YouTube, we're starting to catch and surpass them in subscribers. So, that's pretty mental. If we hit 10k, like, my kind of target was like, I'd love to hit like 10k by the end of the year. I mean, I'm well on pace for that. Like, so
if you hit 10k, I'm going to start charging you freelance for these thumbnails.
I mean, subs doesn't equal ad revenue though, so.
Well, no, that is true.
But yeah, I mean, speaking of it, I'm having a good month on ad revenue. I'm not disclosing my earnings, but I'm doing pretty well. I'll say that. I'm doing a lot better than I do most months, that's for sure. So, anybody want to throw out a topic? I know there's only a few people left. We obviously lost a few people because of the stream problems. I'll take a look at the stream once it's uploaded, and I might be able to trim out the bits where there was a bit of lag and everything. That all depends on whether I either A, remember to do it, or B, can be bothered to do it. Which those two things in my life, they always fight back and forth. It's like, I've got to do something. Do I want to do it? Can I be bothered to do it? You know? So it's the question you've got to ask yourself in life, ladies and gents. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing about a week and a half before the All-Star Skills competition. I'd like to do a live chat with that. The Winter Classic one went down quite well. The only thing is, it starts at like 11 PM our time, which will be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be a late one.
Yeah, I mean, I've done late ones before, so give it a try. I mean, I went on, what was it, the Dumpster Fire podcast, and I was up till like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning with that. I think we started at, because they're on like Pacific time, so
oh yeah,
they're like 8 hours, and they do it at like 7 or 8 or something like that. Yeah, I was up late that night. Damn, it was a good podcast though. Shout out to the Dumpster Fire. Shout out to Urinating Tree and 5 Points Vids. Urinating Tree, they do some great videos. The Detroit Red Wings. What do you think? Yeah, so what do you think about the Detroit Red Wings? I think it's the right thing for them to do to try and tank. Well, not necessarily tank, but for some reason, it's Ken Holland, I believe, is still their general manager, isn't he? He's still, like, you can't think that the Detroit Red Wings are a playoff-bound team this year. Just don't bother. Like, your team has done something that a professional hockey franchise or a professional sports franchise has never done. 25 straight appearances to the Stanley Cup playoffs. They won several cups in that span as well. Like, you've got to rebuild now. You've spent so long trading away assets for veteran guys. You've spent a long time... Like, the ethos in the Detroit Red Wings, they've always been known as the team that leaves their prospects in the AHL for that little bit extra compared to other teams to make sure that they're legitimate players when they join the roster. You've got to make sure that you stick to your guns here. Like, I think you've got to rebuild this team. Like, you had a huge Stanley Cup window. You won some cups out of it. Start the rebuild process. Like, don't... It's like... Their Stanley Cup window is different. For example, the New York Rangers Stanley Cup window. We didn't win anything in ours, so we're rebuilding without the what's it called? The I want to say gratitude, but that's not it. But without the smugness almost of going, yeah, but we won some cups out of it, so why not? It's like the LA Kings are going to have to go through a rebuild, but they won 2 cups in their Stanley Cup window. So I'd rather take 2 Stanley Cups and then like a 5-year rebuild to be competitive again, rather than make the finals and be competitive for a decade or 25 years and never win the Stanley Cup. Like, I think the Detroit Red Wings need to focus on this rebuild. They've got some good young players in that system, some good players that are starting to get towards their prime years. Dylan Larkin's being a great player for the Detroit Red Wings. He's on my fantasy roster as well, so he's doing great. But yeah, they need to go wholeheartedly in this rebuild. Like, don't half-arse it. Don't... They sign a guy like Thomas Vanek to bring him back to the team. He's been a decent player for them, obviously. But, yeah, just go, right, now's the time. We're going to go all in on this rebuild. Completely focus on stockpiling prospects and draft assets that we can flip for other young, talented, up-and-coming players or draft players themselves. The Detroit Red Wings, they've been a pretty good drafting team over the years. So the best way for them to build their team is through the draft. Like, don't be dumb, Detroit. Do it. Don't go the New York Rangers route and sign loads of aging free agents. It doesn't get you anywhere. Didn't get us anywhere. Like, there you go. Any thoughts, Chris?
No, not really. I mean, like you say, the NHL is more your specialism than mine. But I mean, I'd like to see. There's a lot of teams that I'd like to see up there, but I mean, that's the way with the NHL, because there's so many teams in it, and like there aren't in the Elite League. There's so many teams you want to see do well every year that if they did do well every year, it'd be the same playoffs every year.
Yeah. So okay, so I'm gonna chuck in a very interesting final question. I know we've got another question, but maybe we could come back to this in more detail next episode with our NHL section.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 40, so.
Yeah. So out of the teams that haven't won a Stanley Cup, which is about 10 of them, which team do you want to win a cup the most? To finally shake that monkey off their back and finally win that Stanley Cup? It's not a case of which one will first. It's a case
it's
of
which one do you want?
which one do you want? Let me get up a list of the teams.
There's 11 that haven't.
Yes.
So it is St. Louis, Buffalo, Vancouver, San Jose, Florida, Winnipeg, Nashville, Minnesota, Columbus, and Vegas.
Yeah, believe so. Yep.
Difficult. I'd quite like to see Vancouver because they're Canadian.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I wouldn't choose them. I think they will, but I mean, actually, but for the good of Canada, they might need to, because otherwise they'll start rioting again, and we can't have that for a third time. 1994 Cup Finals, 2011 Cup Finals, they've got to stop rioting against people, you know? Like, if they destroy their own city when they lose a Game 7, like, that's obviously a massive conversation for another day, but yeah, those guys got to stop destroying their own city when they lose in the Cup Finals.
Yeah.
If I had to choose, I would... I don't think... that's a good choice. Metallica, very good band. Shout out to them, very good. I think... I'm not really that fussed if Buffalo win one, got to be honest.
No, I'm not, no.
Nashville winning one, I mean, they made the finals a couple of seasons ago. I'm not really that fussed if they win it, to be honest. I think Predators fans would go crazy and it would be a great event. But would they be the team that I want the most to win it? Probably not. I've got to put the St. Louis Blues up there. St. Louis are probably the team I'd go for out of that lot. And the reason I say that, they've been in the league for 50 years.
Yeah, I was going to say
they've got that's one of the reasons they've got the longest drought, and also they've been to several cup finals. Most of these teams have, obviously, but I believe, did they make the cup finals in their first year? Because they did it that an expansion team made the cup finals in the first year.
Yeah, because didn't they make it? Was it? Oh no, they came in. Did they come in 67, 68? They did, didn't they?
Yeah, they came in the 67 expansion.
I was going to say because that wasn't the one they lost to Toronto, was it? Because Toronto were 67.
Yeah, it would have been the next one.
Yeah, it would have been the year after. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, none of the teams jump out at me. Anyone but Vegas, because they need to wait like 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas would have been cool if they won it last year.
Yeah, but now it's just like, nah.
Now it's just like, you can wait your turn.
Yeah.
Like last year, it's like, oh my god, this could be history. But now it's just like, you can wait your turn now like everyone else.
Yeah, earn it.
Yeah. So, I think that's a good point to finish, if you ask me. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. I apologise for the technical problems, like 2/3 of the way through the podcast. We will most likely be back next week on the 21st of January. Yep. So, if you want to come back and hear about all things Elite Ice Hockey League, all things NHL, and everything in between, make sure you tune in at 7 PM British time, which is 2 PM Eastern time, and 8 PM Central European time. For all of you guys that watch in different places. Tune into the Icing on the Skate podcast next time and let us know what you think about the stuff, anything you want us to talk about, anything like that. Like I said, got some more videos going up later in the week. But yes, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching. But for now, goodbye.